Any questions with that?
None.
Okay, motion to approve claims for June 29th.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bryce, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Supervisor committee reports. You guys have anything?
No.
Okay, I got a few things, a few updates. I haven't talked about CO2 pipeline updates for a while. IUB is going to start the permitting process August 22nd. It was supposed to start in October, and then when they got a couple new board members on and they moved it up. So that could take, what I'm hearing, 2 to 3 months to go through all that. So with that, our county intervention team we have of joint counties, any county can still join up to the 10th of this month, but those days are closing in pretty fast. We do have 7 of us. It's Shelby, Floyd, Kossuth, Dickinson, Wright, Emmett, and Woodbury County are part of our county intervention team. So that's awesome. We all share the costs together instead of just being 2 of us. I've asked to participate along with Wright County. They're also part of our team. And you guys might have got some literature on it. There's a CO2 pipeline event up in Fort Dodge this weekend. They've asked counties to come in and give an update of what they've done to prepare for the CO2 pipelines, whether it's our ordinance or our right-of-way permits, inspectors, blah, blah, blah. So I'll be participating in that this weekend. There's been no word on our lawsuit, the ordinance injunction. We were hoping to hear something, the end of May, 1st of June. It's been crickets, so I can tell you that. And last thing, not related to the pipeline, I just want to say thank you to all the department heads. Our budget year ended June 30th, and everybody did an awesome, awesome job of staying in budget, not having any amendments that drained our general fund. We're on track according to our workout plan to build our general fund some. So I know there were some worried moments with a few of them, but everybody did a great job. And so I just want to say thank you. We do appreciate that. It doesn't go unnoticed. Okay. You guys have anything else?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Make sure I didn't forget something. Okay. Appointment of budget director. I'll give a little recap on that. Mark resigned from budget director after the budget this year, and we had a budget meeting with all department heads. I don't know when that was, April-ish, somewhere around there. And Mark announced that then, and I made the statement that if anybody was interested or they knew somebody, please get a hold of me, step forward. I had a couple people inquire about it, and Taryn Knapp had sent me an email saying she would like to give it a try. And we were hoping to find somebody in-house, but if that didn't work, we were going to look outside, but we weren't going to make anything official or do anything till after July 1. So that's kind of where we're at. So Taryn, would you mind coming forward?
Is there training for her somewhere?
I don't know. Mark, do you know if there is?
At state or anything? No?
That's a good question. I'll reach out to ISAC and see if they do
I would
have,
think ISAC would have something.
because they do that for, auditors, supervisors. I'll look into that, but I wanted Taryn to, everybody in the room here knows her, but the people watching, the general public, just give us a little bit of your background, how long you worked with the county, and what do you do, and what interests you in this job?
I've been with the county since 2016. Work for both the auditor and assessor. Assessor's office, I do construction applications, help with planning and zoning, all of the credits and exemptions, homesteads, family farms, things like that. The auditor's office, I do the valuations in December, submit those to the state, and then in July, do the tax billing, prepare all the tax statements that get sent out by the treasurer. I do all the real estate transfers to update the tax rolls. I maintain the GIS mapping software, so everything that goes on Beacon. I also help maintain the county website. I took over IT coordinator in 2019. So I've been preparing the IT budget and expenditures since 19. I also work elections, do the machines, laptops, get everything that goes to the polling location, set up the polling location, train the PEOs, answer any questions. So I feel adding budget director, kind of completes that process of valuations and tax billing, adding in, putting the budget, and I like to work with numbers.
Okay.
And that's the.
Enjoy a good challenge.
And
A lot
after
of numbers.
And after this year, anyway, your IT coordinator position will be gone anyway.
Yeah, so I'll complete this year out, and then that'll transition to Austin, our new IT director.
Yeah. And then when this position came open, I reached out to Chris Nelson, he does our private audit for the county, and asked him to do kind of a job description, because the budget director is really the preparer to help the board prepare the budget for the next fiscal year. And once it's prepared and certified, then the auditor implements that and watches over that. And so he shared with me kind of the job descriptions of between the budget director / preparer, the auditor, and when Taryn reached out that she was interested, I shared that with her, and Mark also has a copy. So you have an idea of what your jobs are, but there's going to be, of course, a learning curve for all of us, somebody new, but it's nice to have somebody inside, so when you go to enter stuff, she's familiar with our software and here in the county. So I'm excited to have you on board if you guys are okay with that. And I know you brought it to me, I'll give this a try. That's all I can ask. We hope it's a long term. If it's 1 year, it is, but we appreciate you taking a stab at that.
Yeah, thanks for stepping forward. That's awesome.
I think you're doing a great job.
Just so the public knows, that's a stipend we have in place. It pays $5,000. So we're just being transparent with everything. So, do I have a motion? Do you have anything else to say? Okay.
I make the motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to appoint Taryn Knapp as our budget director / prepared. All those in favor, motion by Charlie, second by Bryce. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Taryn.
Jail report, and we're going to go over together with the jail and the sheriff's department. After their reports, we're going to talk about opioid funding. Kind of give an update where we're at with that and the request. So, I don't know if the jail, you want to start first, Kyle?
Sure.
Okay.
Brief, small report today. I believe it was out of part of May, I think, when we were here last, so
Yeah.
I've had a lot of updates and the same stuff. And then the sheriff wants to give a report after that. I think if you guys don't care, we're going to kind of put our opioid fund request
Together.
kind of together. So,
Yep.
like I said, not a real lot to report for the jail, except as Marcus can contest and Sheriff can contest and Captain Butler as well, we're busy. 341 people have been processed through our facility to date, and we're only on day 186 out of 365. Busy summertime, obviously new, more people on the streets, productivity's up. The average, I will say this, probably inmates that we deal with now are not your please and thank you type. So we're doing a lot more with a lot more mental health, seeing a lot more substance abuse issues, which really is putting a strain, I would say, on our staff in reference to dealing with, especially we have 12 other people to take care of, and you have 2 that are under the influence of, narcotics, alcohol, and yet mental health all at once. So And then this could tie up with the opioid thing too. Eventually, we're going to look at probably trying to bring some additional training on how to deal with some of recognizing some of these new street drugs that people are coming in. You know, prime example, not going into detail, we had an individual come in over this weekend that was on a female that was under some narcotics, and yet it took about 3 deputies, about everything they had to subdue her and basically keep her under control. So, you know, and there's times and periods where I only have 1 staff on, and we're thankful that the deputies are able to come in and assist us with that. So, staffing, fully staffed. One of my staff members who is part of the military police unit here is going to be gone this month for his 3-week annual training in Indiana. And then he has provided me activation orders as of, well, he gets back at the end of July, the first part of August, and through the end of September 4th to go down south, and so
At the border.
into the border. So he is going to be gone through September 4th. So puts a little strain back on the staffing issue. I reached out actually to a former full-timer that used to work with us, and she actually wants to come back and help us out with some part-time hours, which is going to be great. So it actually just happened to work out perfect, the fact that we bumped into each other the other day, and I thought I was going to be asking for it, and she actually asked me if she had any hours available. She mentioned to come back and helping us, so it was like a win-win for both of us. So
No doubt.
recently had our jail inspection. We, as usual,
Did very well.
did very well, are a clean, well-run facility, so it's good on that. You know, Steve, you were on the email in reference. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but in reference to some of the things we maybe start looking at.
Yeah, I would say at another meeting.
Yeah, we'll put that on the thing.
Bring it on, because there's some recommendations long-term that came from the inspector with the building and stuff that we need to address and plan for, okay? That's not gonna be a short conversation.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be a short
So
conversation.
if you could put something together, because I have no idea what they're kind of looking at. and
Yeah.
Some recommendations, kind of a priority, and we'll discuss that.
Yeah, it'll probably be a minimum half-hour discussion on some
Okay.
things in presentation. But no, actually what I'll probably do is put a presentation to show you with like some pictures and some stuff and things that, so for you guys to be able to see, you know, without obviously giving up any security portions to the public that would be able to access it too. But,
Okay.
so yeah, when we passed with flying colors, so kudos to, you know, the staff for, you know, putting in the hours, 24 hours, 7 days a week. We don't shut down. So, you know, we're a very, as Delbert says, a very clean and very well-ran facility. And, you know, thanks to Sheriff Gross to allowing us to, myself and my staff to kind of do the things we need to do. So,
And you have been, it's been that way
correct.
most of the time I've been on the board, so kudos to you, I appreciate what you do.
Well, it's not all me. It's a team effort.
No, I know.
Because I can do the things, have things I do without his blessing or the staff that's up. Because I mean, and for the general public out there, it's not just as simply as a guard. We don't just sit there and watch cameras. There is a lot of liability and a lot of stuff that at point in times one person has to do within the jail to maintain. There's a lot of laws, as Marcus can contest to, that we're bound to by a whole chapter in the state of Iowa code of rules that we have to follow and rights that inmates have when they're in custody. So they do a very good job of being able to still do our job, but still stay within the fine line of, you know, of allowing what they're able to by Iowa law. So that's basically what I have for an update. Not a whole lot. So
When you put that report together, you know, with improvements that need to come down the road, could you also put kind of a little bit of a timeline based off those priorities?
yeah, I can do that.
How
Basically, it's just
urgent
going to break
some
into
of them
about
are.
three separate sections. Is basically
Okay.
what we're going to break it down into. So I'll show you what we have, what we need to look at, and reason of why. So it's kind
Okay.
of a blanket
Fair enough.
discussion. So yes,
Yeah, you don't want to come up and then you just
I'll just park
hang around here.
Let's go.
You bet.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Neil.
Yeah. How are you this fine day?
well.
Get through the fourth?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
We did. We did. Honestly, I was just talking to Captain Butler back there. I think we only had 7 firework calls that we responded to, so not bad.
No injuries?
No injuries.
No fingers lost or?
Nope. I think everything went well. So got through another year anyway. I know Butler gave one back in May as well, so I don't have a lot since then, but we are full staffed finally. So Since the transition, we went from an 11-man department, which included myself, to a 17-man department. We did get everybody hired for that. I want to say we had close to 30-some applicants throughout that process.
That's awesome.
2/3 of those being certified officers. We did hire an individual who was uncertified from over by Logan, so he will have to go to the academy. He is scheduled right now to go January 3rd. So they're going to run 2
So
academies.
1 out of 6.
What's that?
1 out of 6.
1 out of 6. Yeah, that's
Pretty good.
not bad at all. So we are full staff. We're still doing our training. We still got some guys in FTO with our field training officers going through that, trying to get them up to speed with just how our office runs. Like I said, a lot of those came from, we're certified, but it's just different. Office to office is different. So hopefully have those finished up at the end of this month, middle of next month, and then get some of those guys into vehicles of their own. We're not going to leave them alone on shifts, but at least they can get out kind of. So you'll probably see a few of our guys running 2-man cars right now and have been for a couple months, but that's why that's happening. So get our schedule back to normal would be nice. Contract overall with the city of Harlan, in my opinion, is going very smooth. Our office seems to gel pretty well, even with all the new hires, and I'm excited about where it's heading, and I'm very pleased with where it's at currently. So we did purchase 2 new vehicles. Lucked out and found 2 of those. I actually found them out of state, but we had to get some vehicle purchases in. As we rotate cars out every couple of years, we have to buy a couple more. It's just a vicious cycle, and over the past 3 years, it's been a scavenger hunt to try to get some of those law enforcement vehicles back on the road. So lucked out and got 2 of those purchased. They should be here the next couple months. We also have a K9 that we inherited from the Harlan Police Department. And he has been placed with a handler. Lee White is our new K9 handler for Shelby County, Deputy White, and he has gone through a 2-week course with a master trainer and is now certified, track, narcotics, all the fun stuff that those dogs do. So he was out working the other day. They both look happy as can be, and they're doing well. So he is back to the road. We do have a few promotions that happen within our office. With the new transition, we did have room for growth, which was kind of part of our plan all along, is to provide some room for growth in specialty operations. So Sergeant Butler has moved up to Captain Butler, and I have 2 new sergeants. I have Sergeant Nathan Pigsley and Sergeant Jake Haas. So they will help out with some of the administrative duties and some of the oversight on the patrol side of things. So, and they're doing well in those roles already. So that's about all I've got. Kyle's kind of got our opioid planned out that he's going to present. I can help him on that if need be. But any questions for me or concerns?
No, appreciate what you do.
All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You can stay there, Kyle. You want to pull up a chair or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Slide over, sure.
That way you can shout.
There we go, right?
Hold the mic there.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, we the board had Manning Resource Center reach out to us, wanted to know, because we wanted to know if we had any funding available. They were reaching out to counties around the area, because there's quite a few residents from Shelby County use that facility, okay? Originally, when the opioid money came out, what is it, we get about, Marcus?
There's
It was a
$44,000 in the fund right now.
Yeah, but I mean, what do we get a year?
17. Like 17,000.
Well, there's
That's
a couple different kinds.
Yes. Gotcha.
I think one is 17 and one is less than that, as I recall. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's the first one started out at 8,
Yeah.
and then so if the other one's at 10 or so.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we've been accumulating that, spending a little bit of it. Again, Manning reached out. Also, our own public health department reached out, want to know if we had any funding they could use. And so that's when I reached out to these guys, because the county initially said it would go to the jail, safety, sheriff's department, looking at how we could spend that internally. And so I asked these guys if they could give an update of where we're at and if we're able to cover our needs and maybe approve some of these other requests as they come in, but we want to make sure we take care of our home ground first. So with that, you guys can move forward here.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you real quick here. basically how, when this all started off, we've looked, and the sheriff and I have looked over the past few months and quite a bit of things. Obviously, there's some pretty strict guidelines that are presented through this on Exhibit E that state the fact that this has to be opioid or, opioid-related expenses. So some of these items that we've kind of come up with here in reference, and I don't know if I need to go through each roughly individual one of them or an explanation. I think I can just basically boil it down real quick. I have a question for Mark, though, on this reference here when you had set up these two accounts
Yes.
for the sheriff and jail, how it states here, so it says you're adding $10,000 to each of these expenditure line items.
Yeah,
Then
but
it-
that was
and
before
that's-
you gave me exact numbers.
Okay, so then is it 10 for jail, 10 for sheriff? Because then down below it says it's gonna put a cap of 10,000 spending from that fund.
Well, if I did the $10,000.
Okay, so
What I've done now is I used your exact numbers that you gave us.
okay, so perfect. So we're right.
So that's the numbers I put in the budget
Okay,
that we're amending for.
and that would be the 12,000, I'm assuming.
There's two separate numbers. There's one for the jail and one on the back there. So if you add up what the jail is, and I think the sheriff was $9,550.
Correct.
And the jail was $4,000. I
Correct.
can't
So it was
remember.
like it's right at 12,000.
So that's what I
basically.
put in the budget,
Okay, perfect.
in the amendments.
And in a blanket of a nutshell, basically what that is asking is roughly, bottom line figure, we've kind of adjusted from like 9,800 to right around, the 12,100 is basically what we came in from original, but there's gonna be some fluctuation on some prices because some things are cheaper and some things are more expensive than we put in.
They're not property tax dollars, so if it needs to be amended again,
Okay.
let me know.
Perfect. Okay. So basically in the jail, what we're going to be adding is we're going to be looking to update an AED. Our current AED is 11 years old. It's an old one that was cycled through back in 2018 when the deputies got a new one from originally. That was 5 years old at that point in time. Looking to a tune of about $1,800 to $2,000 to replace that. With that, we're also going to add in the jail. It's going to be an opioid overdose kit that runs about $450, which basically allows the jail to have the Narcan, basic supplies and stuff for an opioid overdose that would happen in the jail. Since we don't have it now, to give the time from when they're coming in off the streets for us and staff to be properly trained on how to use that. Kind of coincide together with the sheriff's and jail gloves. They now make gloves that are fentanyl and opioid resistant, where our current med nitrate gloves that we have that we everyday use are not. For those who are not familiar with fentanyl, the smallest little piece of fentanyl is a piece of salt can kill you. So we feel that that's a necessary precaution that we need to have. A little pricier, but you're looking at, about $1,200 to supply us with 4 cases of each random sizes, $30 a case, 10 cases, or 10 cases in a box or 10, so. Also, in relation to that, maybe looking to put another one of those opioid overdose kits within our lobby where we have another fire extinguisher / AED for our staff too, because we get a lot of people that come in off the streets that do visitation, that do inmates, that I will honestly say are not 100% sober. So our front staff would be cross-trained on that as well. When I say our front staff, would be our sworn plus our civilian staff. So. The sheriff's office will be provided with what's called IFAC. That's an individual first aid kit. These are going to be individual, personalized to each deputy, so it's going to be a quick go. It's going to have all the necessary first aid items, plus with that Narcan and stuff in there to use for opioid overdoses as well as any response. CPR masks, things such as that, because people who go into opioid overdose, who don't come back from this Narcan, where you have to start resuscitation of CPR in progress, that gives them the tool right there on their belt as well.
Just to add to that real quick, we don't need the AEDs on the road because we did get in on a state grant, and we got an AED in every vehicle.
Awesome.
So we light out on that, they paid for that, so we saved quite a bit.
So what is our total fund right now?
Total fund for use and request is I'm sitting at what those would be.
Well, what's in our fund right now?
About
44,000.
Okay. And your requests?
We would write about 11,200
To 12.
to 12,000. If we wanted to put it at 12 to have that, basically what I've shopped out from the last couple of days, that's the exact number. Things could go up, it is in
Do
fluctuation.
you foresee, I would guess that would be pretty much an annual expense. So if we say we get 17,000 a year, probably 12 of it, I probably got spoken
Minus the
for.
AED, I think the rest of it we could replace
Correct.
annually. Yeah.
Because we would have gloves that we would need to purchase. There's pads and stuff with that. The training Narcan that comes in, because Narcan does expire.
You've got a shelf life.
Okay. Okay, so if that's the case, we'd have around 32,000 that you want to have spoken for, but that ain't something we could do every year.
Correct, that would- yeah.
Because like I said, if we get 17, you're gonna use 12 of it.
Yep.
We have had that build up. What would you guys feel, because I'm really gonna lean on you guys of what you think we could, I haven't received the request yet from Public Health. And so I think once I get that, and then if we want to try to, what's your thoughts on the resource center? Because she's willing to come in, the director is, explain it. Maybe you guys have some questions before we would allocate anything, but I didn't want her to come in and give her false hope if we didn't have any money.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, but I mean, I would not be opposed to it, because if they can do, public diversion, or, jail diversion type thing, I mean, if you can get somebody assistance on the streets,
Okay.
for a particular, opioid addiction, where it prevents them from coming to jail, which is ultimately a benefit to us in the long run for that, but
Yeah,
there's,
I don't think it's a bad thing either. I just
Yeah.
think it's also that fine line of utilization for us.
within the
Yeah.
county.
Yeah, it comes back.
Yeah.
So really, to be on the safe side, if we, with Public Health and the Resource Center, if we did something one time in that 25 to 30, I think that would give us some cushion in
Yeah.
case something unexpected come up for you guys.
Yeah.
Did you feel comfortable there?
Yeah, I would.
I mean, I really don't want to allocate
No, yeah.
anything today.
Yeah.
I would like to come in
Absolutely.
and then see what Public Health is, and then we would make a decision together.
Yep. Absolutely. I think
But I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yep. Absolutely.
110% agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only other thing in here was an opioid drop box, or a drop box for bills that we were going to post outside the sheriff's office, Bolt Town, and a lot of the ISSDA, State Sheriff's and Deputy Association,
Correct. It's a partnership with the DEA,
It's
so
a
basically it's a no
partnership.
questions asked drop-off box, where you come in, you drop any type of prescription pills, opioids, you name it,
Okay.
Do you see any problem with that, Marcus?
The only question would be, I'm sure you have cameras out there.
Correct.
There's being a surveillance.
Agreement per, it's a standardized, looks like a mailbox, but it's locked, it has to be empty, so, and basically it gets turned over to report to the DEA what was confiscated, what was destructed, so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see any problem as long as you're not
40
suddenly deciding to, look who's dropping them off and
Yeah.
using that for
Yeah.
information, because that could be potentially a problem.
Yeah.
It's public, so it may not be.
True. I see what you're saying there. Yep, good point.
Currently 46 of the 99 counties in Iowa have these.
Yeah, I'm not arguing against
No,
it.
I think
I'm
that's a
just
valid point, though.
trying to figure out
Yeah,
if there's
Yep.
any issues that could come up.
Yep. Good point.
Mark, would you reach out to Taryn, the Resource Center, and have her scheduled for,
Whatever.
yeah, whatever works for her in the next, it'd be nice if we could do it in the next meeting or two, whatever works for her. And then, if you see that on the agenda, please, I would like to have you guys
Yeah.
here to ask some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be August 1st, or what is it, the 18th? Would be the days,
Yeah. And then if I
if
get
she can make it.
the request from Public Health, I'll forward that to you, and you can look it over and give me your thoughts.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I
Okay,
appreciate
awesome.
Appreciate you keeping that conversation.
Yep. Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate the work you did. Bring us forward.
Okay, so actually, I'm on this, so we need to hold off on utilizing any of this until we see
No.
develop.
I feel
I
you're
know.
good because we have the money there.
It
You
is.
can go ahead with what you're
I've got
doing.
it in the budget amendment, so anytime
Just
after
spend it.
August 1st, we can pay for it.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No, you're good with that, say $12,000. And then we'll go from there.
Thank
If
you, guys.
something else, you weren't foreseeing right now, comes up, please, or, so we have some cushion there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Oh.
What?
I
You got a
forgot-
second?
Yeah.
I forgot to give this update in my jail update. I apologize, we're going back here. So Iron Shore Indemnity, this would be through Porter Hayes. This is our excess inmate insurance that we paid, that former Sheriff Irby and former mayor put in place in
We had that one
2012.
that cost us a lot.
Yeah.
Correct. We've had one major where we've gotten payback from this. Since taking over the administration in 2015, we've kept our medical costs quite a bit down, per se. This is basically for major medical. Premiums back then when we first signed up, it was $9,200 for our first year. Premium this year for our renewal for July 1 is, based out of this, is they do minimum of 25 beds, so $1.45 per bed times 365 is the $13,231 for our annual premium for that. Next year, it's going to $1.85, which is going to put it at $16,800. We need to start figuring out because we're not utilizing this. I mean, I emailed there last week for them to provide me numbers of what we've actually utilized as far as payouts from correctional risk services, but it hasn't been a whole lot. I think I've only done 11 claims the last 4 years.
For
So-
an amount.
Is there a deductible?
Well, as far as, and I could.
It's not paying its way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Basically what it is, it covers for, it gives an 18% discount right off for just any small stuff like we take from Route 2 or whatever type thing. Your major medical is where it comes in. Somebody drops down, has a heart attack, somebody, unfortunately has a major problem or some instance in the jail where the bills start piling up, helicopterized, so that's where it comes in beneficial.
We kind of need to know if we did away with it, what's our risk?
So my suggestion would be based on the time frame of us using that we budget for it
Okay.
and continue to put it in our budget, but we don't actually
Keep
purchase
that.
it. So we self-insure essentially as
Yep.
years go
Correct.
on. And at that point, we know that money is now in the budget, it's there, and if something bad does happen, we've got the ability to not hit the taxpayers because we pre-planned for that.
Okay.
I mean, we've had one major event in the past 15 years.
15 years since I've been employed.
That would easily have been self-insured had we have been doing this.
Okay.
I do see medical prisoner did go up a bit this year versus
just
most year,
continue.
but it wasn't
I
a
mean,
lot. Or, in my opinion, it wasn't a lot.
Basically, the few claims that we had this year, and as we know, is insurance is not cheap, medical is not cheap.
What do the big jails do? I mean, everybody's got to have this problem.
Well, prime example, Sheriff Ewing in Monona County, he now budgets $85,000 a year for medical. He's coming down to a presentation from the Health and Human Services that I'm hosting here the 13th of July, because he's $165,000 over that budget from last year
Oh my gosh.
for inmate medical. It's basically when you're in custody and sole custody of the sheriff, the sheriff's office in county is responsible for any fiscal costs for the inmates, and it's an unfortunate thing because a lot of people know this, and we have to do our best, but we're not also doctors to be able to, I can't deny it.
So do you know offhand, like the average, what have we been collecting from them?
I think there's really one time.
Just one
We
time.
collect from that insurance, well,
Right.
an over insurance check but Charlie, were you back then? Yeah, it was a very significant amount.
Yeah.
I think we got like 13,000 roughly and paying back over it.
The number 35,000.
Well, basically the original claim came in at like 141,000
Yeah.
originally, and it was negotiated down through this insurance to about 35,000 is what the county paid, and we got 13,000 over back through this insurance payment. So I've reached out
It's
to get
really
some.
just a stop loss.
Yeah, it's
policy.
exactly what it is. It's a stop loss policy.
And we've taken steps within our jail too to assist that incidences such as that one that did happen don't happen again.
But we,
But it's a game.
Right.
it's one of those darn if you
No,
don't, if you don't.
If you
It's
get
about the one time we don't,
5%
it's the
under
one
your belt or
time.
something.
It's like an HSA. In 5 years, you're pretty good.
Maybe I'll just try and get exact numbers from them to show, and maybe I'll just go on maybe next meeting's agenda. I can present
Okay.
numbers to you, we can make a final decision then.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Secondary roads update and revisions to policy relating to bituminous roads. Brandon? Morning, sir.
Hi, Brandon.
All right, so at the last meeting, I kind of presented that had been approached by an individual that would like to make an improvement to a road. After speaking with Marcus, and kind of how we wrote it in 2019 was to not allow any short sections in front of places
Right.
out that weren't contiguous to pavements or anything like that, but it did not allow any, so
We're talking about oiled roads.
oiled roads. So basically, that last meeting came in and, as directed, amended our existing roads policy. And basically, the changes that we had from our 2019 policy, item 1 on there, no new locations of private oil that do not meet the requirements of item 9. So that was added. And then item 9 on the back basically says, Shelby County may allow, at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors, stretches of bituminous surfacing if the following requirements are met. An agreement detailing all requirements of the applicant shall be signed by the applicant and approved by the Board of Supervisors prior to commencing any work. The bituminous surfacing section must abut or be connected to a paved roadway at a minimum one end of the roadway section and be a minimum of 1 mile in length. The bituminous surfacing section shall be constructed to the satisfaction of the county engineer or their designee. Minimum requirements include granular stabilization with compaction of base and double seal coat.
And that's kind of the, what makes the oil roads work.
Yes.
And that would be the expense of the private person wanting to do this.
That would fall onto an agreement that.
A partnership?
Potentially, a partnership. If this is passed, then there was a request put forward.
Okay.
But that can't happen. And then the only other change to this, it was in item 5. We didn't really have much teeth to this, where if somebody had 1,000 foot of oil in front of their house and 200 foot of it was bad, we had been going out and tearing up 200 foot and leaving 800 feet. That's just terribly inefficient for us.
Yep.
Because, I mean, we're on 1066.
So if this gets tore up, it all gets tore up.
Yes.
Whenever that time comes.
Yes, yes.
Even in front of their place.
Yes, little goes, all goes, none of it can stay even in front of the place, it's all gone, so.
I will say, what's kind of brought this up is prior to when we did the amendment on 19, we did do a private partnership before we had this policy 7-8 years ago out on Mission Avenue. If you drive out there going east of town, it's really good shape. But the requirement was you had to put a good base in the road at the expense. What the county would do is the engineer figured out what we spend a year for rock and maintain that road, which back then I think it was around $4,000. It's $5,500 now. And so the county agreed to give forward 3 or 4 years of that payment every year toward the project. And the private people were responsible for the rest. That's the oil, but you have to put a base in or we don't even talk about it. So that was kind of, if you want to look at it back now, that was kind of our pilot. That's kind of led to this. And since then, we've had this gentleman come forward. We've had Panama in the last couple of years has reached out to us to going up to the cemetery. A few years before that, we had Cedar Road. Bunch of farmers out there were looking at, they wanted to go back to oil, and so we offered something like this, but we really didn't have it in policy. And so we're getting a kind of more than I thought we would, and so we needed to get this in policy if people want to do improvements to the road. So, and I don't know how you say no to that if they follow all the rules and they pay, because I know the road we're talking about is out at Maple Road. And it'd be a partnership with the city of Harlan would partner with Gary Hopp and the neighbors are doing this. The first mile and the second mile plus would be the county. So it's a partnership. But again, the base has to be done and put in and follow the code. And when it doesn't meet our standards, it would have to come out. But if it holds together anything like Nishna has, it's a win-win for both parties. So, and I know this project out there is about, it's over a $250,000 project. And the cost to us would be about $3,400. They're about right?
34,000.
Or $34,000. Just almost $35,000 over 4 years. So, and we can get that, but we'll focus in on, do you guys have any questions for Brandon, or? I just kind of wanted to give you a background of how this came about.
I think these are wonderful improvements to the road, I think, for the price we're paying.
Well, it gives people an option if they want to go down that avenue.
Right.
And we need to treat everybody the same, and that's the reason for the policy. And that doesn't say to say this doesn't go well, that doesn't say the board can't come back sometime and say, you know, we're not going there, but we've had, on the one we've been watching, it's really went well. So, and I know Marcus has looked over
Yeah,
policy.
the only addition I would have is on in the last sentence of 9, after construction, put and maintained.
And maintenance.
Yeah,
And maintain
correct.
the last,
Last bullet point there,
okay,
after constructing.
okay. Will you do that, Brandon?
I think we can probably write it in and just have you initial it, Steve.
Okay.
And just
Yeah.
be,
And the $5,500 a mile, well, it's 1.58 miles of county, that $8,704 would be paid annually, so over the 4 years.
yeah, but that's on the, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of jumped ahead, I just apologize. That's on the next bullet point. So anything else on the policy? You good with the rest of it then, Marcus?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have any questions for Brandon?
No,
No.
I think it covers it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the amendment to our bituminous road policy?
Make a motion?
Second.
Motion by Bryce, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Do you want to give your update? Are you doing anything else?
Would you like me to give the update, or would you want to move on to the next partnership, or?
Let's do the update and then,
Okay.
okay, yep, let's do the update.
Okay, so for an update, I know the last time I was here, we had thought they were gonna start F-24 today or yesterday. The delays, kinda how we figured. 10 Point actually is working in Irwin on sidewalks, intersections. That's not anything that the county's paying for, that's all on the city of Irwin, but it's progress forward on the project.
They are. I was up there.
Yep. So the best we know right now, July 18th, edge trains will start. So a couple weeks from today, or from Tuesday. We fielded a couple questions. We sent out letters to everyone on the route. We had a couple calls just with interest in what we're doing, but I think it's been positive reception. I think everyone's ready for that road to be done, even if it is a little bit of an inconvenience. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll let you guys know as I know. The bridge crew, they're filling up the approaches on the bridge west of Prairie Rose. Probably start decking it next week. They're coming along well. Probably be up
Good.
there east or west of Erling in a week or two. So. All the blade guys are out in all districts trying to get washboards cut and get roads laid back out now that we have some moisture, and kind of knock on wood, it looks like here maybe we're getting back into a little bit of a pattern of getting a little bit of moisture, so that'll definitely help us out. I've got one excavator ditching up on 1200th Street, kind of south of Irwin. He'll finish that up, and then he's going east to Irwin to replace a 4x4 twin wood box culvert that is at the end of its usable life on Woodland Road. So
We still have many of those box? wood ones?
more than you'd like to know. Bryce, you know, there's a lot of them out there.
We're not the only ones either.
Yeah. The other excavator is working on Fur north of 2200th. They're gonna kind of get that straightened out. The road kind of jogs around a residence and a bank in the road. They're kind of getting that cut down, and then I think they're going to continue east on 2300th on the chicken farm road there, Jesse Boone's chicken barn, and do some work. There's a couple tubes on that road that need
Okay.
replaced, and kind of do
Right.
some ditching and getting that road in better shape. Currently stockpiling rock in Harlan, mixing on the fly, drive over pile from Wall Lake and from Schilberg. And then our guys are hauling out of the other piles to various spots around with the rain we got. There's been some calls for rock.
Yep.
And then rock continues in Denison and we haul it as it comes in, so that's working well. And then at our next meeting, I'll have plans for slurry leveling like we've been doing every other year for F-24, F-32, and F-58, and then pavement markings. We've been doing those every other year too, so.
I will share, I read a report last night. The state come out with the 20 worst counties for bridges. And I didn't know what to expect. I went down through there. Anyway, actually Ringgold County was the worst. 41% of their bridges are in poor condition. We did not make the top 20. I see the worried look on your face. And I attribute a lot of that for having our own bridge crew.
Yeah.
That we can do a lot of the small things on our own besides the major ones. So I think that speaks highly of what we've been doing.
Yeah, no, I think having Dan and Dave Gal put together a good program for replacing stuff 20 years ago really has helped, because
Talented bunch.
yeah, and you know, the county I came from, they did not have a bridge crew, and it was just waiting for
close
stuff
to
to fall down.
50% of your bridges not be, crossable. It's just like, I don't know how they make it work.
Right. It would make farming and everything a lot more difficult than.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
But
Thanks for that. We'll
Yes.
move on to the partnership agreement with the private road, Maple Road.
yes. So would you like me to read it, or?
I don't think I have to read it.
I read it.
Some of the highlights.
Okay, so I believe, Steve, you were first approached by Gary Hopp last summer sometime, about making an improvement from Highway 44 south on Maple Road to 800th Street, then east and south. He built a new building there east of where he lives on 800th Street. We initially talked with the city of Harlan because the first mile from 44 down to 900th Street is city of Harlan Road. So basically what we came up with this is it's 1.58 miles. The road will be improved by a minimum of 6-inch granular stabilization and compaction of the base, tack and seal coat, which is basically a double seal coat. All the stabilization materials and methods shall be approved by the county prior to anything being incorporated into the roadway. 4% crown specified. The contractors everyone working on it has to provide certificates of insurance to the county before any work commences. The applicant shall be responsible for all costs associated with base stabilization, compaction, and seal coating of the existing granular surfaced roadway. Shelby County shall reimburse the applicant the average cost of maintaining a granular surfaced roadway for 4 years upon completion. This cost will be $8,704.50, payable annually by July 31st each year to the private party. Said costs are shown below, and I have the cost detail at the end. If anyone would like a breakdown of the cost, we have them in our office. Winter maintenance is the responsibility of the county. The applicant agrees to hold harmless the county from any actions required by the county to remove any ice, snow from the roadway surface. Regular maintenance shall be the sole responsibility of the applicant. They have to do all the patching and everything to it. If we get any calls, we forward them on to the applicant, and basically it kicks in the timeline as set forth by the bituminous oils roads policy to patch any issues with the surface. Prompt resolution of the issues by the applicant shall be a requirement of this agreement. In the event that the roadway is not maintained per the agreement requirements and the roadway shall be returned to granular surfacing, the entire section shall be returned to granular surfacing. This determination shall be made at the sole discretion of the county. If the roadway shall be returned to granular surfacing at any time in the future, all associated costs to revert the roadway to granular surfacing shall be paid by the applicant. So basically, our feeling is we have a good rock road out there right now. If this does not work, the applicant shall return it to a good rock road.
Yeah, a couple of the key points, if you want to do a partnership with us, it has to be at least a mile.
Yes,
And what was the,
terminate at a hard surface road.
yeah, it's got to go to a hard surface road. So,
Yep.
okay.
So, and then any items not covered specifically listed in this agreement falls back on this policy. So that would be if it starts failing and they don't fix it, then we would tear it
Yeah,
up.
and it all has to come out,
Yes, yes.
okay?
And then Gary provided me a copy that he had signed. I believe each of you has a copy of it.
Yes. Okay. Has the city approved their part yet? Because it was going to be a partnership together. If the city doesn't do it, we're not doing it.
At last night's city council meeting, it was reviewed and approved. Brandon and Dave Gow, we had a streets committee meeting on June 8th in which Gary Hopp was there. So a lot of this was discussed in detail at that meeting. Coming out of that, both Brandon and myself were directed to put together agreements, which is what is in front of you. Directly answer your question, it was in front of city council last night and was approved.
Okay. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you.
You guys have any other questions?
No motion to approve?
Okay, Brandon, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Motion by Charlie,
Second?
second by Bryce to approve the partnership, private improvement, secondary road at Maple and 800 Street. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thanks, Brandon, for, I know you did a lot of work putting this together and getting our policy updated. Next on the agenda, appoint entry-level driver training for Shelby County.
At the last meeting, I talked about posting down at the road department for any entry-level driver training person to give entry-level driver training to guys after they change the rules, and you need that before you can get your CDL. So I posted it in-house. I had one person submit interest in it, and I guess I would like to appoint you guys to appoint Jay Ring as the ELDT trainer.
Make that motion?
Second. Okay, motion by Bryce, second by Charlie to approve Jay Ring as lead driver trainer for Shelby County. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, before I move on, I see there's a couple department heads showed up. Did you guys have something you wanted to give an update on or anything?
I can. I have some stuff written down. I don't want to hear
That
it.
way you don't have to wait around here. Good morning, Austin.
Good morning. So,
How's your life been going?
it's going. So as of July 1, as everybody knows, we have ended our contract with the previous provider that was doing all of our IT stuff. So all of their equipment is out of our building and has been returned to them. So we currently, everything. So we currently have no ties. The only thing I am keeping contact for is any strange items that I may not have encountered before to kind of try to get an idea of what's going on there. But
Okay.
otherwise, we're completely done with the previous provider. We're still looking at a lot of server issues. Just manageability is not really that doable right now for one person. I'm able to do it, but I'm kind of working around the clock to make it happen. It's no problem for me, but we are looking at buying a new server as a backup so that we don't encounter as much downtime as we have experienced the past couple weeks here. Takes a lot of stress off my back too. So we're looking at that, getting quotes for that to come out. But other than the server issues, we took the firewall out on June 30th. The night of June 30th, and it looks like everything was a pretty clean cut over. No issues so far. It's been a week or so and it's been working fine. The grant that we got for the firewall didn't come through in time. We're still going to get it, but it didn't come through in time for a deadline to meet for our current provider. So we had to go and outsource and buy a firewall ourselves, which it wasn't too much of a price. So we made that work. Cybersecurity training, we're still looking at getting quotes for that, but I've been a little busy with the servers, so it's kind of on the back burner right now. As well as the IT policy, that is still under review, kind of going back and forth, looking at it to try to amend a few things, but we'll probably have another rough draft of a new policy here in the next few months or so to kind of review, so that is coming. I may have to get with you to try to make sure we're in litigation here, but there's a lot of things that need to come out, a lot of things that need to go in, but there's also a lot of good things in there that wasn't previously enforced, so there has been a lot of changes throughout the IT policies, or IT enforcement around here, so there's a little bit of a pushback, but I think everybody's happy so far, so. But otherwise, everything's going well, other than the servers. I mean, we're making it.
What's the issue with the server's age or?
It's not age, it is just the stability is the best way to put it. It's not very stable. If one goes down, they're all kind of following suit. And it's basically 3 servers in one. So everything that's on those 3 servers, if one goes down, they're all gonna follow suit. So I'm looking at options to try to use this new server as basically a mirror image of it. And if the first one fails, I'll flip over to the second one. It's not going to be as fast or as efficient, but it will keep everybody up without having to be down for days at a time, weeks at a time. So we're going to try to make it happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything back on the conservation scam?
I have not heard anything back on it yet, no.
You?
Nope, I keep checking, and they keep saying no, they know nothing.
So at what point does insurance take over?
That I'm not sure.
Do you know, Mark? Okay.
I need to file a report first, and I can't file a report unless I know it happened.
Yeah. Well, we filed a claim originally, right? You know, when it initially happened, that the agency
Not
was...
without, yes, they're all aware of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So without the bank saying that it's a for sure fraudulent transaction and we can't do anything about it, I'm guessing here, so.
They don't know.
Did they give you any idea how long that takes?
I haven't spoke with them at all.
I did again yesterday,
Okay.
and they said they'd contact them again, and haven't heard anything back from them.
Okay. Well,
So was it
doing our due
canceled or
diligence.
anything
They don't know.
by the bank? They don't know?
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it, yep. I just wanted to give an update on our current situation here, so, yeah.
Also, I appreciate what you do, and I know the staff does too, because I feel a lot more comfortable with having somebody here on top of it.
I can imagine,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Mark, do you have any auditor report?
Yeah, new election equipment is ordered. It'll be put in use this fall. Those are the tabulators. It's going to take a lot of training for the PEOs that have all been used to and they've done a fine job on 12-year-old equipment. They're all used, they all know how to run it now, and this would be new equipment, and so things are updated. That's just the way things go. And the addition of the IT administrator will be a huge step forward for Shelby County with the maintenance of election IT duties, because we've been doing it ourselves. Every spare moment it takes us, like for our 27 election laptops, it takes us months in our spare time to let them update. And that should be gone now. Talking to other auditors with IT departments. The tax certifications have all been gathered by myself. That's one of my duties. The state certifies all the taxes from 11 cities, 16 townships, 3 community colleges. That's Iowa Western, Western Iowa Tech, and DMAC. The countywide certifications, that's the brucellosis and TB, the county, the assessor, ag extension, and the hospital. And we get certifications from all the school district, Exira, IKM Manning, Boyer Valley, Woodbine, Tri-Center, AHT, HSTW, and Harlan. All those combinations of those certifications that I just gave you amount to 48 different taxing districts in Shelby County. And I've just started entering all the data for each one of those separate taxing districts. And when we're done, we do have a list in my office of, you just pick out where you live, whether it's rural or in a city, and what school district you is, and it says what your levy rate is. And we also use that for our checks and balances to make sure we've got everything right. That's another reason we prepare that. But it's quite amazing, it's quite a process, and we're just starting that right now. And the election schedule calendar is being made. I'm working on election publications, getting them prepared with all the proper dates, and the EMS, the August 1st meeting. I'll put it on the agenda for you guys to look at and officially put it on the ballot, because we have to publish it twice before 60 days before the election. So it's got to be done in August. It's got to be published in August. And just as public service, I believe the county would be in our best interest to go ahead and publish it in November too, so everybody knows it's coming, a reminder. Because if you do it 60 days in front, there's people gonna forget about it.
Sure.
And I think it should be laying right in front of them in the newspaper. That's about all I've got for you guys. Got any questions? I'm here to answer them.
Okay,
Thanks, Mark.
thank you. Any department heads?
I can do a quick one.
Hey, you can just stay up here for the next thing on the agenda.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Morning, Alex.
Morning.
Alex, EMA Director. Thanks, Marcus.
Just a quick report. We're working with the state right now. We finally got our unique entity ID through the federal government. It was a not so easy process because there were some things that were messed up in the system before that we had to correct. You have to have one of those numbers to apply for any federal grants, and they changed a lot with the EMPG grant, which is what we get every year to offset my salary. So we did not receive those funds with the last fiscal year because they changed when the funds will be distributed. So we're going to basically get 2 payments this year instead of the last one. So it's kind of been a 6-month long process trying to get all that stuff in order, but everything's fixed now and should be good to go. And this is something that the state changed to make it better aligned with the fiscal year for the county instead of the state fiscal year. So I've been working on that, and then been working with some other counties on, and lately they're trying to do the RSF, the economic RSF, and economic RSF, and then which is the recovery support function. We finished that and had that approved by the full commission, EMA commission, and then there wasn't a need to have the supervisors approve it like the basic plan that we have, but I thought it would be a good idea to at least put it on the next agenda or something so that you guys could review it here. I know we did the joint meeting, but at least you can get out to people of what we're going to do. There's nothing in there that's confidential, so it's all public information. Other than that, just trying to work with Austin to get some things cleaned up in our office on IT-wise, and I know we've got some really old servers that are a part of EMA that we're going to have to make a plan with, so been working with him on what we needed to do there, and that's pretty much.
Do you have a schedule where you're going around to the small towns, talk with councils and the
Yes.
fire department on the essential service vote coming up?
Yes, we've gone to the majority of them. We still have to meet with Panama, Portsmouth, and Erling and Westphalia as far as the city councils that we go. We're on the schedule for Harlan for their next one. And then we've hit just about all of the fire departments. So some of the city councils just had meetings at the same time, so we weren't able to get to both.
Good questions.
Yeah.
People engaged.
Yeah, they all seem engaged. We haven't heard any, there's been a couple people that have spoken at the city council meetings that they've heard people who are outright no's, that they don't want the EMS. My job being on the EMS advisory council isn't to go out and advocate for a yes vote, it's just to go out and give out the information.
Yep.
But I think everybody who's brought up questions, we've heard more of, like I'll give an example. I was in Elkhorn City Council last night, and they were asking about could they receive tax money from Kimballton because they would benefit from this since they're in their district. And I said, no, that's just like we have some people who would pay taxes who might be in a different ambulance district. This is one that would benefit from not having to pay the taxes, but see the benefit of having EMS. So
I saw in our ISAC priorities for this next legislative session, there is priority in there of allowing jointed counties for central service to have a 2080 and do this. So, but now we can't do that, but I think that's coming because there's a lot more counties looking at this.
Yeah, and I think the ones that have passed the essential services, I think that's been a question in all of them is why I'm paying taxes and these aren't. So I know I didn't know that was going to be one of ISAC's priorities, but I think that would be a very good thing to do.
It's coming.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think everybody that we've talked with, both at the fire departments and city councils, is said they see the need for EMS. Obviously, some people don't like that the taxes would go up for it, but they see that this is, when they say this, why do I get taxed? This is one of the reasons why I want to get taxed. So we are still planning to have town hall meetings. We're going to do, at a minimum, one in the Erling, Panama area, and then one up in Defiance, one in Harlan, Shelby, and Elkhorn. So we're going to try to get to all of those places within.
When you get that put together, you send that out to us, and will that be like in the paper and up on the website too?
Yep, we'll get them on the website. We'll plan on putting them in the paper and then also on the radio and all that. So.
Okay, appreciate that. Anything else?
Not right now.
You can stay there in case there's any questions. But the next thing on the agenda, EMA Shelby County split attorney costs or EMA funding question. We had a joint supervisors and EMA meeting a few weeks ago, and one of the topics brought up was, I don't know, there was some state legislation this year that was close to being passed, but it wasn't, as far as EMA had their own funding. This is not additional funding. It is, instead of being under the county's general budget, they would have their own, and their board would vote on it and take care of that. To do that, of course, we're looking at, need to get an attorney involved and look at what your options are and how funding would work. And I don't know, Alex reached out to me and he reached out to Allers to get some background information. And we agreed at that meeting. That meeting was just a discussion item, nothing was voted on. That's why it's on the agenda today, that initial cost that you looked into, the county would take care of. But moving forward, if we do anything down the road and we need to get attorneys involved, because it would be a joint venture, then we would split attorney costs and vice versa. So we just wanted to get that on the record, if something like that. But we also agreed that we wouldn't rush into anything right now. One, we got to figure out how the new legislation is going to affect the counties with the property tax cap. Next legislative session, I'm sure this will be back on the agenda. We'll see what that happens, and we don't want to get ourselves in a corner or something and have to backtrack if legislation is going to clear some things up. So we're going to take a wait and see probably for this next year, and then see what happens.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of questions on how EMA is funded and things like that. So I think my goal of it was just to clear up those questions, and I wanted to get it started before budget season so we had some answers when we go into it. And like you said, Steve, the legislation, who knows what will happen with that, but at least we'll know as it stands now what we can and can't do. So
because there's some tricks there, or there's some things that really need to be ironed out, because when you take a separate board, the people that are voting on it need to be elected officials, so they're accountable for that, and not just anybody voting on it. And so that legislation would clear up some of that, and how that membership would look like. So, do I have a motion to approve going forward, splitting attorney costs?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Bryce, second by Charlie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Anything else?
Not really regarding this, but I would like to say, I've heard from several of my commission members, and me personally, I think I liked having you guys there at the commission meeting. I think it was good that we were all able to get around the same table, and it wasn't, everybody could ask everybody questions. So I would just propose that we would maybe start doing joint supervisors and commission meetings. We do 3 of them a year. And I can get you the schedule and everything, and if it's something you guys would like to act on, it doesn't have to be a day, but I think it was a good meeting, and I think I enjoyed everybody getting on the same page and everybody being able to ask questions, so.
Yeah, keeps us in the loop too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would just propose that we consider doing more joint meetings like that.
And we can address those as they come out. We just got to get it posted.
Yep.
So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is set publication hearing day for the 2024 budget amendment. August 1st is the date you're looking at, Mark?
Yeah, August 1st, and would you like me to go through the budget amendments proposed for the publication?
Yeah, the changes, yep.
So what we've got for income, public health, every year we raise it a little bit, and every year they take in more
Yeah,
than what we
grants.
guessed.
Grants.
And so I just added 200,000 to it this year. It's covered, it's 200,000 in, 200,000 out.
Okay.
It's just an in and out fund. Environmental health, 25,000, that's for water well grants. There's been some turnover and help down there and getting things straight, and we had the problem with the past director down there too, of not getting that in and out money. And so we
They're
had
slow. The
Huh?
state's very slow getting that money back to us.
Yeah, so we overspend
Yeah.
because we have to plug them.
For 1 year.
And then right after July 1st, we get a
Right,
check.
to get the money, yeah.
It's not a good situation. So I did 25,000, we agreed to do 25,000 in, 25,000 out. The Harlan 28E income is on there, and the Harlan law enforcement expense is on there. I put 44,000 in opioid spending, because that's what we've got in the bank right now. It might be more, we don't know what
Right.
we'd
It's a
have.
guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all a guess. Election equipment that you guys approved, the improvements in the election equipment. And now we know how much is left in ARPA, and we estimated $250,000 in ARPA spending for this year. And that would be the maximum. It's not 250,000, but it's a nice round number.
So everything I'm seeing here is really in and out. There's nothing that takes down the general fund, correct?
No,
Okay. Okay.
absolutely not. These are just things that couldn't be foreseen at budget time,
Okay.
or weren't.
Has this been published yet?
No, it will be before the August, legally published before the August meeting,
Okay.
August 1st meeting.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to set the public hearing for the 2024 budget amendment of August 1st?
Second.
Motion by Charlie, second by Bryce. Any other questions? Nope. Not every. In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, last thing on the agenda, consideration approval for liquor license for Corley Community Club. It's an annual thing. Any issues you
Never
guys
had
have
a
heard?
complaint
No.
that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Charlie,
Second.
second by Bryce to approve the Corley liquor license. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Anything else? Okay, thanks everyone. Meeting adjourned, excuse me.